never again to awaken to another harrowing nightmare. The nature of the veil over her eyes was very clear. It prevented light from shining through. Maria was well aware that the world still was the same old place as it had always been. But living behind a veil made things that she once knew to shine bright appear dimmer. One by one had those bearing light left her side to join the world beyond her veil. German would always come bearing his little light, but even that had started to flicker weakly. The man holding it was the cause. The memories of said man was the only thing keeping the sickly flame alight. It provided some comfort, but brought its fair share of woes still. Looking into the celestial dial helped. It provided by no means a solution, but a temporary relief. As long as she was in its light, be it from the sun or from the moon, it helped. She did have a department run, but with the degrading number of visitors in her tower, she suspected they went along fine without her. She no longer had the will and power to fight it. Their will. So many years. And they had not listened to one thing she had said. And the one standing in the corner, slowly approaching, never in sight, but she knew it to be the decrepit body of the one that had been deprived of life so long ago. It now lived inside her head, demanding a price. From her, as well as everyone that had done it wrong. The door creaked open. She did not acknowledge it. Most of the time, it was the one in the corner that called her attention. Maria. It was German. Easy to tell the difference. The thing in the corner never spoke. She looked away from the light of the dial and over her shoulder at him. He walked up to stand at her side. Well, you know me. I just wanted to see you. I heard another one followed in George's footsteps. She spoke slowly with a tone paired with judgment and sympathy. Some are careless of themselves, makes the wrong choices, gives in to simpler things. But not you. The hunt is a terrible thing, but must be done. Some get carried away and lose respect for the hunt. And that makes you not question it the slightest? What? Nothing. Maria, I hate seeing you sit up here alone, day in and day out. Why not join me in the workshop? Just for a moment. She turned her head up to look at his face. He was concerned, anxious even. No, I don't believe I can do that. He nodded slightly and turned to look over at the dial. Was he starting to change his mind? No, not German. Besides, why would someone suddenly start to listen now? All right, but promise you will visit soon. There are things I wish to speak of. He patted her on her shoulder before leaving. She remained still, wondering what he could have meant. Towards the evening hours, she mustered up the energy to leave the tower. There was someone she had to see. A visit she had been putting up for too long now, and soon there might not be any more time to spare for a visit. Passing the corners of the clockwork room, she was aware of the one standing in their darkness. But closing the door behind her, she felt it did not follow her this time. Her pulse heightened as she approached the garden, tended by her living failures. They always stopped to watch her come. Their infatuation sickened her, but she could not very well tell them to stop. No one could tell them anything. They were just like babies, towering, monstrous babies. The sunflowers were the only other thing besides herself they responded to. Some would have them removed, executed, discarded as the failed experiments they were, but she would not allow it. Not only had she been with them in their final hours as humans, which made her partially responsible for their fate, she had also been there at the very beginning, at the event so many years ago that had a life ended because of experiments. That life was not theirs to take, and in her mind, the same applied to these, failures or not. They stood still as she walked past, turning their malformed bodies in her direction. The well-known headache visited once she entered the research hall itself, partially why she no longer went there. But she would endure it this time, for a friend. Traversing the hall was a haze. Only because she knew it so well could she find her way. Otherwise, she would surely get lost. In a lonely room, she sat. Dignity still intact despite her bloated head. Maria took a seat opposite her. The room was not very charming, and she cursed that not a finer environment be given. Adelaine opened up her left eye. Oh, I almost did not hear you come in. It's very hard to try and find where the sounds comes from. The room was dead silent. Adelaine, you lovable fool. Whatever did you do? I'm a saint, aren't I? And saints ought to understand the gods, their wishes. Oh, Adelaine, why would you bring this onto yourself? Just to hear God? I have their blood, and I hear them so much. They want to help me. They've sent me a guide to show me the way. Then you'll be proud of me, that I've become a real saint. I am proud of you. You are the bravest woman I know. Adelaine's breathing started to stutter, evolving into a chuckle. I know. I love you, Lady Maria. I always will. I've always been nothing. You've shown me I can grow. And now, even I am worthy of the gods' whispers. Me, little meek Saint Adeline. Maria buried her face in her hands, biting her lips to keep the tears at bay. Adeline reached out a hand clumsily towards her. Maria felt it and took hold of it. Don't be sad, my friend. You will do fine without me. Perhaps we'll see each other again in a beautiful dream. From her pocket she retrieved the balcony key leading out into the flowery garden. She lay it into her palm, and Adeline wrapped her fingers around it. Her grip was firm, but otherwise she did not react to it. Unfortunately, Maria had hoped that she perhaps could have seen the pleasant memories of the flowers the item brought. Maria? Yes? Do you see the stars too? Her only open eye had now closed, and Maria looked around the room just to confirm that it was solely a delusion. There are no lights. Ah, then that is it. I must be brave if I ever want to understand what I can become. She inhaled once, then again even sharper. Then she slumped forward in her chair. She had fallen asleep, now breathing gently and peacefully. But then the breaths faded. Maria gripped her hand. She shook it, then again even firmer. Adeline? Adeline? A sudden spark flickered past her, like a small piece of a lightning bolt had darted past her and vanished. It caused her to shoot up so violently that the chair produced a loud noise as it slid over the floor. Adeline! She turned her hand over to feel with her fingers over the wrist, but nothing was felt. Two men rushed inside, one older, higher-ranking doctor with his tall assistant. What happened? Maria backed away, feeling like she was falling into a void behind her, where the light dear Adeline had once given faded before her eyes. The night had come. Tonight she sat not faced towards the dial, but away from it. She stared towards the door and the dark corners. She had thought that doom would come for them all, the scholars, the prospectors, and the hunters. But out of all, she would at least face it. She waited long into the night. The bells sounded off every hour as she sat. Soon enough, a face stared back at her out of the corner, emerging from the darkness. The face with saddened eyes and skull-like grin. Its form emerged, dripping with water. The bad dream revealed itself as she thought it would. She could never escape it, nor would she ever be able to. It walked up to her, dragging with its bare feet along the wood. A thing that could never be born because of them. Everyone denied it, yet it was the thing they have built it all on. Such a bloody and harrowing legacy was sure to crumble and take so many along with it. Its umbilical cord still emerging from the stomach, but severed. It stood right in front of her. It breathed quietly but started to utter a sound. At first, it was like hearing the first cry of a child, but then grew into the sobbing of a man, somber and saddened beyond comprehension. I'm sorry. She shivered. It stopped and stared back at her with black eyes. Perhaps she was a hunter after all, like German would have liked. She certainly shared his sins. She thrusted her head into her hands, letting out a grievous scream. Once the sound of her voice faded, there remained another in its place. A woman stood before her, in place of the horrible and wronged child. A woman dressed for a wedding, radiantly pale and hands bowed in perpetual prayer. Her wrists were opened, red blood contrasted her pale features, similar to her own lineage. Over the stomach on her white dress was a dark red spot of pouring blood, reaching down over the front of her garb. She was sobbing softly, like a mother for a lost child who had cried for eons. Maria became calm upon seeing her, as if she had already stepped over to join her. Her last thought being, proper that a murderer's end would be by her own hand. Then she woke up, in the same room, in the same chair, but now with her accursed Rakuyo returned to her. Maria's hunter garb. Among the first hunters, all students of German, was the lady hunter Maria. This was her hunter's garb, crafted in Canehurst. Maria is distantly related to the undead queen, but had great admiration for German, unaware of his curious mania.